We welcome you to this edition of Economic Forum, where we discuss various issues affecting our economy in Zimbabwe. Today, we want to look at the role of consultants in business and development. Oftentimes, consultants are hired in order to do some work when actually there will be people in a department or in a section that can do that work, but it will be because of their expertise. We have invited into the studio Felicity Haatendi-Gutu, who is a development consultant herself and has worked, on public service jobs as well as private sector jobs, to come and share with us the work of consultants in business. Felicity, welcome to Economic Forum.
Thank you.
Yes. Felicity, what is a consultant?
A consultant is a self-employed professional, not a member of the staff within that particular organization, with particular expertise that is called upon at certain times by the management of the organization to share their expertise, to counsel, provide advice on the running of the business operations in general.
Yes. What qualifications should a consultant have in order for the company to leave their staff members and look for this outsider to do the job?
We're talking about a bachelor degree and a specialty professional certification in a particular area that may be missing within the company. The reason why companies come take up consultants is because that particular aspect of work that needs to be done cannot be done by the regular staff members.
From your experience, do you think that is what happens? Companies actually looking at those gaps and then finding someone else? Or is it a question of just finding a friend to come and do the consultancy, even if they themselves are not fully qualified?
I'll try and take myself in the role of a contractor within the organization. I identify the needs together with members of that particular department, be it finance, be it HR, be IT, according to perhaps the latest strategic plans or the annual plans. There is need for us to introduce new systems, new processes, for example, within the organization, and we find it is better to bring in a breath of fresh air with the expertise under that particular section, or to assist us with the goals. We always have to have the goals of the organization in mind, the vision, the mission, and the objectives of that plan.
We sometimes see a situation whereby a former employee, after resigning or retiring, is hired as a consultant within the same organization to do some of these things. And you were talking earlier on about bringing in, a fresh culture and so forth. Is that the right way to do things, that someone has retired, has resigned, and a year down the line, he comes to advise the same company?
If we're looking at the staff that will be there, seeing Mrs. Gutu come back to now consult and be remunerated heavily according to, if we're looking at what the normal staff are getting, and for the things that Mrs. Gutu, the amount that is then going to be provided or given to Mrs. Gutu as payment for the services that she would provide, it brings about resentment within the workplace. Staff may not welcome, because a consultant should be independent, should be able to come in and network, form relationships within the company as according to the terms of reference and the deliverables that would have been presented to the consultant. And I think if you are rehiring me as a consultant, we have to look at the old saying that says familiarity breeds contempt.
That's Felicity Haatendi-Gutu, who is our guest on Economic Forum. She's a development consultant, and today we are talking about the job of consultants in business development and also in the private sector, because even under NDS 1, quite a number of consultants are going to be hired in order to do different jobs. Are they going to be the right people? Are they going to recommend lasting solutions? So join us in the second segment. Welcome to the second segment of Economic Forum, where today we are discussing the work of consultants in business and development. Many times consultants are hired in order to do some work which can otherwise be done by local staff, but there will be a need to have someone who is independent, someone who's got a fresh mind, and somebody who will not be distracted by the culture of the organization to do that. And we've got here Felicity, who is a development consultant, who is sharing some ideas about consultancy, both in the private and the public sector. Now, let's come to the choice of consultants. I think we just alluded to it in the first segment that, at times it's not a good idea to choose somebody who is just or who has immediately left the job to come back and be a consultant. But how does an organization choose the best of consultants so that they don't regret in years to come when they actually reverse and do what they were doing before the consultancy?
From my experience, tendering for consultancy or procurement of the services of consultants is a process and should be a formal process. Here we are looking at the recruitment and the contract management of that consultant within the organization. Within the organization, we would have identified whether it's the managers within that particular department, they would have identified a gap that requires to be filled because those particular skills and competencies are not present. We then look at procurement of those services. We have to advertise so that those consultants or consultancies out there who feel they have the staff who can respond to our terms of reference. We advertise. We even interview, we then shortlist, we interview. We are basing the advertisement on the fact that we know the type of consultant that we want and within which field, within which sector have they had experience. We are also basing the advertisement on being clear with our terms of reference. What are the deliverables that we expect at the end of that job? And I would like to take you back and agreeing with you, where you said staff often feel that they can do it better. There is no need to bring in somebody who is going to get paid perhaps twice the amount that they get paid. But we have to look at the advantages and disadvantages of having an external with the expertise that the staff may not have. We as staff members, we are doing our job 24/7, day in, day out. We are bringing in a breath of fresh air. We're bringing in new ideas for the future in terms of the business operations. There will always or should be somebody within the organization who is going to manage the contract.
But others do complain that you go through all those processes when actually you have already tipped John to be the consultant, whether it's number 7 or whether it's number 3, but you will have to go through the process because it's required by your systems. But John, whether he makes it or he doesn't, is going to be the consultant. How do you handle that? Or what is your advice?
There's been understanding that when we get expressions of interest referring to particular terms of reference that we would have put out for a consultancy, we would get the old timers, people we have worked with already, and they have a good and credible track record. So we undertake the due diligence process.
Whether they're number 7?
We do due diligence on all the consultants, on all the companies, the consultancy companies, if they come as a team. And so you will find, yes, we have had a long experience and relationship with consultant X. But again, there is room to bring in new faces if they can compete. Mind you, this consultant will be familiar with your business and has produced the results that we required, the deliverables. We as the contractors should not bring in our personal preferences at the table. We need to remain as professional as possible in procuring a consultant that will give us the services that we are requesting.
That's Felicity Haatendi-Gutu, who is our guest on Economic Forum today, and we're talking about the role of consultants in business. Why should companies or even government departments choose consultants when they actually have the staff who are qualified to do that job? She just explained some of the reasons, particularly bringing in somebody who is independent, who is not going to be influenced by the culture of the organization. And when we come back in the third and final segment, we are also going to look at the choice of company consultants and individual consultants. Felicity is going to be explaining to us why at times you need a whole company and why you also need an individual. So join us in the third and final segment of Economic Forum. We are now in the third and final segment of Economic Forum, where today we are looking at the role of consultants in business as well as in the public sector. And our guest here is Felicity Haatendi-Gutu, who is a development consultant herself. Felicity, you talked about companies being companies of consultants. They can be consultant engineers, they can be consultant marketers or public relations people. Just tell us a little bit about how a company, as a consultancy company that does not do one job all the time, can remain efficient. Because obviously after a very long time, some of the people may have lost the experience. How does a company that is a consultant remain viable?
I am lucky to have been in the role of a consultant and a member of a consultant company. Remember I said as a consultant, you are independent, you are self-contained, you've got your administrative support, you've got your database, you can call on XYZ to assist in the particular consultancy. Whereas if you are coming from a consultancy firm, I personally think I would rather be a member of a consultancy firm, which means we are dealing with various business issues, aspects of, you would have financial experts, you will have experts in communication, media and communication, you have experts in different things, IT, different requirements that are needed or different skills that are needed to run a business efficiently and effectively. How do we keep ourselves abreast as the various expert consultants
in that company?
Within that company. In the previous consultancy company that I was with, we were offered training in order for us to keep up with the trends, the business trends, in order for us to keep up with the trends either in the development work, so that we are responsive to the client needs. We would hold internal seminars, we would hold tutorials. It doesn't mean that once you've come in and your expertise area is, for example, finance, you just wait and sit until the next financial consultancy comes along. No, there is a need to keep yourself abreast of the environment. Keep yourself abreast of the educational goings on within your sector. We were lucky. The consultancy regularly did that. On Wednesdays, we would have what we would call our tutorial session, where different consultants, if they were not on the job, or we would be asked to leave it for that afternoon, come in, we present new information within our area.
Yes. Felicity, ethics, different fields have got ethics. Lawyers have ethics, and engineers have got ethics, and so forth. But someone wakes up and calls themselves a consultant, and then when they mess up, who do you seek redress from? To say your consultant or your member did this and that as an individual. But no, in the legal system it's easy because they have to be registered through the Law Society and so forth.
I understand lately that there is a governing body for consultants within a particular sector. I won't mention which sector, but within Zimbabwe, it is still very much individual consulting companies, individual. We do not have a global code of ethics
for
in terms of operations. What we should be doing is we tend to rely on the global, some companies rely on the global code of ethics for operational purposes for the consultant.
Or maybe the contracts that you mentioned at the beginning of the program, how should they be structured to make sure that you close all the loopholes and you don't hire any chancers who are going to spoil the job?
The contract comes from the contractor with the input of the consultant before you sign off.
Which is important.
Which is very important.
To make it tight.
It is very important that you agree on how you are going to deliver the deliverables that have been specified. Some consultants just look at the money as it comes, that you are being offered this money for 20 days. But you also have to look at the what are you being asked to do? And usually, the money may be good depending on the contractor, who is the contractor, but it may entail a lot of work. And this has to be clear within the contract and the terms of reference that comes with it. You match it up now with your expression of interest. Can I really do what is being asked? Can I do it knowing in the back of my mind that I do not have data? If I'm asked to do research or an evaluation, there may be need for extra hands. I, as an individual, are those people going to be available for me to undertake? Whereas the advantage in a consultancy firm, they have these portfolios. If it's research and development, they have people, the data enumerators, the data analysts, etc., who will add to the wholesome of the product that you produce for your client.
Very briefly, as we conclude the program, the charges. One consultant comes and they are paid something like $300 a day. And then someone is brought in 6 months down the line and they are paid $600 a day. Just very briefly about how costing should be done in consultancy. Very briefly.
As a consultant, what is your value? How do you value yourself? That is very important.
I may be overvaluing myself.
Yes, you may overvalue yourself, but we, the contractors, already have scales. That's dependent on the experience, that's dependent on the academic background, that's dependent on your previous track records, whether this is with other contractors. And then we put you on a certain scale. We offer that. But you, as an individual consultant, need to be aware of how much am I worth and what can I give towards the particular jobs that you may have been given.
And you have to show.
And then, yes, then you negotiate.
Well, Felicity Haatendi-Gutu, a development consultant, would like to thank you very much for coming to Economic Forum today, where Felicity was talking about the job of consultants, be they in the public sector or in the private sector. But just an overview of what consultants are and how they work and how you should choose them or select them for different jobs, and also how they should value themselves so that when they do the costing, you are able to negotiate and come to reasonable terms. So Felicity, thank you very much for coming to the program. And I would also like to thank the production crew. This is John Maso.